Well, hello there, traveller. Coming in from the cold. We've got a nice warm fire going.
Welcome to Hearth and Tome Tavern. Can I pour you a cup of something?
We've also got some wonderful books here if you're interested. After all, there's nothing better than curling up by the fire with a hot drink and a good book.
It's true. We have been reading some great books lately. So why don't we have a seat and let us tell you all about them?
Hello, and welcome back to Hearth and Tome Book Club. It's episode 2. We're back.
Woohoo.
My name's Phoenix. I use they, them pronouns.
And I'm Eve. I use any pronouns.
And today we are discussing, of course, our book for this month, which is Godkiller by Hannah Kainer.
I have a lot of thoughts about this one.
I also have some thoughts, for sure. I guess, like last time, should we start off with like a quick run through of like the plot?
Yes, we shall.
So it's like set in a world where there are gods, and they're not like gods from any specific real world mythology, which I quite appreciate. They are like unique to this world, and they're like, some are like wild old gods that have existed for forever, and then some I think are like sort of almost man-made, in that like people started doing a thing and then a god developed around that thing.
Yeah, totally.
And I think like a good while before the start of this book, everybody liked gods. Gods were okay. And then there's this big ass war between like the old gods and the new gods. Very American gods.
100% very American gods vibe.
And now the like biggest kingdom that all of this is set in, the king is like, no, God's bad, nobody worships gods, we hate gods.
And then the God War happened, and it kind of destroyed most of the gods, and then he suddenly turned on the gods that were on his side, and basically no more gods.
That's important, actually.
No more gods can exist.
Because like him and his kingdom fought on the side of like the new gods, and then as soon as the war was over, he was like, hey, fuck all gods, and turned on the gods that had helped his side. And it was like a brutal massacre.
Well, in this book we follow 4 people. 3 people and a god. Should we say?
Are gods
I
gods
don't
people?
know. Would you say they're a person?
We'll call them a person just for the sake of
simplicity. They've got the most personality out of all of them.
This is true.
So we'll
get to that.
I can remember 2 of their names. We follow Kissin and Elogast, and then I cannot remember.
Yes, I've written them all down because I was smart.
I'm dumb and forgot.
So we have Kissin, who is a god killer, who's like somebody who knows how to like kill gods, obviously. And she's got like backstory trauma around gods, because her and her family or her siblings were children of a god, and then the village that they lived in all like turned on them and tried and like sacrificed them to another god, and Kissin was able to survive. She lost her leg, or like a good chunk of her leg in the process, and now she is a god killer and hates all gods. Elogast was a knight who fought in the God War and then retired to become a baker.
Which I think is so sweet.
I need a cozy fantasy book about a knight who retires to become a baker.
It was so sweet.
And preferably who is gay.
100%. I need it right now.
And then we also have Skediketh, also known as Skedi, who is a god. He's the god of white lies.
He's so cute. He's a little baby.
He is. And he is like bonded somehow to this daughter of a noble whose name is Inara.
Oh, I knew it was something like that.
And they have been like hiding their weird bond for a long time, And then Inara hears that Kissin, the Godkiller, is like in her village and goes to find her to see if she can help separate them, because they can't go like further apart than like 20 meters before they start getting
Which
hurt.
is very Philip Pullman kind of demon vibes.
This is the thing, right? So like the whole God War thing, very American Gods. The connection between Inara and Skedeketh is very
what is it called? Golden...
His Dark Materials.
Yeah, Golden Compass kind of.
Yeah.
It feels very inspired by.
Yes. And then basically the plot is that these 4 individuals all end up together, and they all are on a voyage, a journey to the city of, I think it's called Blenraiden?
Something like that. I didn't know how to pronounce it. Much like everything.
Blenraiden. I checked the
map.
Nice. Which is where the God War started and ended. Yes. So both Kissin and Elogast have like specific trauma around this city, but they go there because they're trying to help. Well, Kissin's trying to help Inara and Skedeketh. Elogast is on his whole other thing because the king has asked him to go there because during the end of the war, the king died and then makes a deal with a god to stay alive, and now his deal with that god is running out and his heart is dying, and so he needs a new heart. So Elogast is like, hey, I'll go to Blenraiden where all of the few surviving gods in this country are, and see if any of them will help you. And that's his
that's
plot.
The motivation. The good stuff.
Yeah. And also, just because I mentioned a map, I feel like I need to say that I do appreciate that this had a map, but please, fantasy authors, give us pronunciation
Oh my
guides.
god,
beg you.
I beg. Oh.
If you're gonna use made-up names, which you should because it's fantasy and that's cool, give me a pronunciation guide so I know how to say them in my head
otherwise,
and out loud when I'm doing a podcast.
Otherwise, I'm just going to make noises while reading. Yes.
Exactly.
It's I need it.
So yeah. I guess that's the plot.
We, once again, will specify which system we're using to rate. We are using the Compile system, which was used, I think, created by Book Riot, I think you said. Book Roast. I was close. Book Roast. It was created by Book Roast. Sorry. Okay. It goes through character, atmosphere and setting, writing style, plot, intrigue, logic, and enjoyment. Each of these are individually rated, and at the end we divide. We add them all up and divide them, and then we come up with our average rating.
Yes. Shall we start out with our average ratings?
Yes, 100%. What did you rate it?
Okay, you go first.
I go first? Okay. Yeah. Is it because I gave it an average of 6.
Okay, so we're closer this time because I gave it a 7. It was a 7.4 altogether.
Oh, nice. Okay, fantastic.
Which is much closer together than we were with our previous book.
Yeah, I had feelings about it. Okay, yeah, I liked this book a bit better. 100%. But before we go into specifics, I will put a little spoiler warning that this
good shout
episode will contain spoilers for Godkiller. So let's just jump right in with characters. Yes. Give me your
characters.
Yeah.
I gave it a 7.
I gave it a 6. So pretty close.
Okay.
Pretty close.
I liked the character concepts.
Yeah. Same.
Right. The idea of this really badass Godkiller lady is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
She felt cool, but also
was kind of cool,
as most of them did. Lacked personality some of the time.
Oh god, yeah.
I liked Elogast, who's I liked his whole he was a knight, and then he disagreed with the king deciding to turn on the gods that helped them. So he agreed to fight one last time, I think, and then left.
Yeah.
And went and opened this bakery, and I thought that was such a cool backstory.
It was so sweet.
And I would have loved to get more character development for Elogast as well.
I would have loved that.
Inara is fine.
Yeah, she was a child. Didn't feel much.
teenage noble girl. I liked that she's like got little bits where, you know, you would expect her to be able to be good at archery and all this sort of stuff, but that's not that original, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's kind of a trope in a way to have the like the fancy girl who secretly knows how to do these cool things.
No archery. Like, okay.
Yeah, and Sketty's fun.
Sketty,
like,
oh my babe.
Kind of cool.
My favourite character in the entire book was Sketty.
So I did like the characters. I just felt like they lacked development in a lot of places.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna start off with this. I'm going in strong. There's most of the book. It's like they're just sort of like hanging out. They're just like a wee quest gang.
Yeah.
And then randomly, like a good chunk of the way through the book, suddenly Kissin and Elagast.
Oh no!
they go off and they have sexy times.
They have a Fade to Black sex scene.
And they have like this romance thing that sort of comes out of nowhere.
I hated it.
I didn't like it, and I don't think it needed to happen.
Oh no! I hated it so bad.
Shout out though to Kissin, because right at the start of the book she's flirting with a lady bartender. So we do appreciate the bisexual.
We do appreciate them. But Elagast is such a bland man.
I really wanted to like Elagast so much more than I did, because there was just nothing to him.
I wanted more like cozy vibes. I wanted more personality, and not just I'm going to follow the king and everything he says. I'm just like, come on. But then I was like, where did this relationship come from? No. Please no.
Yeah.
Like,
and then like it was like there was like a little bit of flirtation. I was like, okay, fine, whatever.
Yeah.
And then it was like, hey, let's have sex. And I was like,
let's go to town. No, please don't.
Can we not?
Please don't do this to me.
Because most of the rest of the book, at most when somebody's like attractive, they're described as like being attractive or whatever. Like it's not like a sexy, spicy book.
Yeah.
But then suddenly it's like, hey, they're having sex, and it just felt out of place.
It felt so. It was not good. It was not good at all.
And it didn't feel like.
It was
not
needed.
Only did it not feel appropriate or needed, but it didn't feel like the characters had like naturally developed to that point.
Yeah, there was like one sentence in the chapter after that was like, I wish I had not had sex with her because then it means I have emotional attachment. What?
Yeah.
You said that in the blandest, most tethered way.
Yeah.
Like, no, it wasn't good.
Yeah.
It's the huge lost points for that, because I felt so uncomfortable. I was glad it was only like, 3 paragraphs or something? Was it?
Yeah, it was not long.
It was not long.
But...
It was the rare moment I was like really happy that it was Fade to Black, because I was like, please don't make me read this. Especially because Inara's in the next room.
Yeah.
Blew my mind.
Inara's sleeping, like, not far away. And Skedi is a god and doesn't sleep, and is also not far away.
Exactly. So like,
it's weird.
It's weird
and uncomfortable, and didn't need to happen. And like, this book, much like our previous book, actually, is the first book in a trilogy.
Yeah.
I feel like if you were gonna insist on having this relationship, it didn't need to start now.
No, like, leave it till book 2.
It should have been developed more.
Yeah.
And like, this book isn't long.
Yeah, it's
like 290 pages or something.
Yeah. Like, that's so little time to have this, like, relationship.
So why did you waste some of it on this?
Exactly. It didn't need to... Oh, no.
Yeah.
There's no need.
And I will say now, because I'm sure I'm going to get into it more later, but I do feel like this book misses out on some things because it's the first book in a trilogy, and it's clearly written as like setting up more of the trilogy. And I feel like if you'd taken this same concept and written it as a standalone book that's like another 200 pages longer,
much better. Could have been.
I would have preferred it.
Yeah. Because you need that time for development. Because it's so short as well, you don't get like a lot of insight into who they are. Because it's jumping between all these people, and you're just like, well...
Yeah, I guess we haven't explicitly said that, but these four characters, they're like they are all point of view characters. So we get chapters from each one of them, and it's like constantly switching and swapping between them, and that can work, but it works better in a longer book where you have more space for that.
Yeah.
It just feels weird, especially because a lot of fantasy books are big and chunky, to then have like a less than 300-page book and be like, oh, this is the first of a trilogy.
Yeah.
I'm like, could you not, like, how could you not fit the whole thing into one then, if this is part one and the other two are potentially going to be about the same length? Like, I feel like you could have just squeezed them down into one. Like, one or two books.
Yeah, you could just easily make this an 800-page book and just make it one book. Much better.
Yeah. I feel like we've gone off topic from characters.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. So there was one thing I did like, which was Inara and Skedi's relationship. They were little cute babies, and I loved them, especially, well, I really didn't like Inara. I'm going to put that off the bat. It's mainly Skedi. Yeah. I'm mainly in love with Skedi, because he's a little guy, okay? He's so little, and so funny, and it's just, I loved the fact there was a scene where he took over Inara's body and made her do all this stuff and say all these things, and I thought that was such a fun concept to play around with.
It was really interesting.
It was so good.
And then that was one of the few points of like development for anything, because then immediately after there's like the aftermath of Inara not being happy, understandably, with how Skedi had behaved, but they can't separate. Like they physically can't go far apart from each other because it hurts. Exactly. So it was really interesting to have this, like, you've got this conflict and the characters are forced to still be together.
Yeah.
And to try and like work it out.
And
it was a really interesting moment for sure.
And like up to that point, Inara had been like, no, trust Skedi. Skedi is great. And I'm just like sitting there like, he's a lion, little thing. Like, no. Do not trust this man. Like, this little creature, do not trust him. But like, I really liked, suddenly Inara was like, maybe I shouldn't have blind trust in this creature that's psychically bonded to me. You know? I really liked that dynamic between them. That was my favourite.
It was interesting. But I do feel like not long after that, like after they'd resolved that issue, it then quite quickly goes back to Inara just being like, yes, Skedi's cool.
Yeah.
Which I was like, I understand obviously you have that moment where the characters can like reconcile and go back to a more neutral state, but still there should still be some... Yeah, and it didn't feel like that was really there.
Yeah, not at all. Which I think is a big failing of this book, is that the characters seemed to be fine with each other off page, and then not tell us.
Yeah.
Like, there's like development stuff that just should happen but didn't, and suddenly it was fine, and it annoyed me. But
yeah.
But
and again, to go back to what I said, I do think that's because it's such a short book.
So short, yeah.
But it's trying to be the start of a fantasy trilogy, and to me, just make it bigger. Just add like another, at least another like 100 pages, and like give yourself more space to develop these characters, because it could have been really good if you had.
I will say this: I did like Kissing, for the most part. I did like her. I thought she was fun. I loved the prologue.
The prologue was really interesting.
Good. Because I was like...
The prologue really, really does a good job of, like, setting it all up and explaining why Kissing is the way she is.
Yeah. I was invested with Kissing from that page. And then chapter by chapter, like 4, I was done with her. I was like, you're like, no. But the opening chapter is great because it shows her getting, like, sacrificed to this fire god that we see again later on. But it's also, like... That was really, really fun. It showed her connection to the water gods, I thought, and her revenge arc, I thought was going to be fun. No.
Yep.
It wasn't fun.
Yep.
But then I liked how flirty she was. I loved the disabled representation. I absolutely loved that. I loved the facial scar.
She has a prosthetic leg. Yes. You should say that. That's so she lost her leg during the prologue, and then has a prosthetic for the rest of the book. And also has a friend who's in a wheelchair.
Yes.
Who you meet briefly.
And also sign language.
So yeah, like
sign language is used.
Yeah, that's true. The friend who's in a wheelchair, their partner is deaf.
Yes.
And use sign,
which I loves.
which is another thing where an hour is like, haha, I secretly know this, and I'm like, okay,
Christ, okay,
great.
Why?
Yeah.
Why
So
do
I do think that's something this book does well, is the representation.
Yeah, 100%. Because it was handled
It
very,
just would
very
be
well.
great if the characters who were part of that representation were more interesting.
But yeah, sorry, the representation was handled very, very well. I love the use of sign language in fantasy books. I
Yes.
love it when it shows up. It's
Yes.
like, because we don't see it a lot, if I'm honest. I can't think off the top of my head the last book I've read that's had it in it, which I really like. But
No.
it was a
No, but I do think it's something that should be used more. And I think 100%. It comes from that weird, like, idea that in, like, fantasy, deaf people or people with disabilities just in general just, like, don't exist for some reason.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no.
Like, no, they exist, come on.
Let's have them in there and use sign language and make it, like, work.
Come on,
and
exactly.
This book does that well.
Yeah, 100%.
One of the few things that it does really well, but it does that well.
It does it really well. My favourite thing is I found out that Kessen's name in German means pillow. And I don't know why, but I just kept reading it and I was like, I was pissing myself laughing, thinking pillow is just going off. It was so funny to me. Yeah.
Okay. So, shall we move on to atmosphere then?
Yes. This is my... Oh no, it is my highest rating out of all of them.
This is my joint highest rating.
Yeah. Mine is a 7. I give a 7 for...
Mine is a 9.
Oh, I forgot that. That's again.
I think this is me being more generous yet again.
I feel 7's very high for me. But yeah, I loved the world building. I adored it. I loved the Dead God City, which I cannot remember the name of again.
Blenraden!
Oh my gosh. I loved Blenraden. I wanted to be there more than, 90 pages that we were there for.
Yeah.
I didn't care for where Inara came from, mainly because we were there for, not even, half a page.
Yeah.
But, I loved the atmosphere. You got a real good sense of, dangers and stuff, and atmosphere. I don't know how else to say this, but I loved the god curses and the whole kind of, backstory that was interweaved kind of really well, but yeah.
Yeah, I think the world building was fantastic. I think the world concept is real good.
Real good.
Where it fell down for me, I wanted more, and there wasn't more.
Oh, 100%.
I wanted more, detail. I love a well-built fantasy world, and this is a well-built fantasy world. But if you're going to give me a well-built fantasy world, give me lots of it, please.
Yes.
And we got, snippets of it. Again, this is one of those things, if the book had been longer, I'm sure we would have got more.
Yeah.
Just give me more. Just more detail, more places, just more of everything.
Yeah, it's because Kessen was a really well-travelled person because of her job as a Godkiller. So, she knew all these people in all these different places, and I just felt it was underutilized.
Yeah.
In that kind of sense, whereas, these little hidden conflicts, but, no, there really wasn't any.
Yeah. I do so Kissen comes from a different, country, effectively, doesn't she? She doesn't come from this kingdom. And I feel and maybe this is just me, overlaying this onto it, but I feel the country that Kissen comes from, and Kissen herself, feels very Scottish.
Oh, yeah. Oh, 100%. I got that vibe as well.
That was the vibe I was getting the whole time, and I do appreciate that.
I got so excited. I was reading this this is kind of sounding quite high up in the Highlands, kind of.
Yeah, and
Scottish
it's got that sort of Scottish coast vibes as well, the place that she comes from, tiny little Scottish fishing village. And she's described as having red hair, and also just the way she acts and the way she talks. I'm you're Scottish.
I was surprised that she wasn't swearing left, right, and centre like a true Scot.
Yeah.
It's definitely got a Scottish vibe, right?
Yeah,
I definitely think that.
I just wanted more.
Yeah. there just seemed to not be something that there's something left out in that kind of. Or
yeah,
like when
about
they went,
100 pages.
yeah, 100 pages of it was left out. I want to see an uncut manuscript of this. Like, where's the other like 400 pages, please?
It does make me want to read the second book, not because I need to know what happens, just because I want to know if it feels like there's parts of the second book that should have been in this book.
Yeah, 100%. Like,
so I guess we'll see.
Yeah, we shall see. Okay, we'll go into writing style then.
Yes, so I gave writing style a 6.
I gave it a 5.
And
Priceless.
This was my joint lowest score.
Same.
I felt like it was mostly like fine.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't bad.
Yeah. I liked the use of like slang words and terms. Like I liked how kissing was called, I don't know how to pronounce it, Vega?
Sure.
I like
Again,
that.
pronunciation guides, people, please.
Please, I don't know how to say anything. I don't know words.
I liked stuff like that.
I
felt like the biggest problem with it is that like, so it's all third person.
Yeah.
But it's third person from the point of view of whichever character is focused on in that chapter. But sometimes it felt like the narration tries to be like omnipotent and like know more than the character should know. And it just felt sort of inconsistent, the narration, I think is how I put it. I feel 100%. Like if you want to do POV chapters that are third person, you need to have a better sense of when you're going out with the boundaries of that person's knowledge. Or just do them first person.
Because I felt Inara was getting too big for her boots, in the sense that how do you know so much? Because like you shouldn't know
her whole backstory is that she's been like super sheltered.
Yeah, like I don't think she'd ever left like the house, other than
like
places where her mum took her.
Because so her mum was like the lady of an area of the country, right? And people who live in the village that is part of that area had no idea that Inara exists, right? They have no idea that the lady of their like area has an heir.
Apart from Elogast somehow.
But that's because he remembers the lady from when he served the king. Yeah. And so like, he remembers Inara when she was like tiny.
It felt kind of weird. But I don't know.
It felt very weird that this very sheltered Inara somehow knew all of these things.
Like she was very worldly, and I'm like, no, how do you know anything? You've literally no, you can't know anything.
I also kind of wonder if maybe the book would have been improved if it was from fewer points of view. Maybe if you just stuck, because you've established Kissin as somebody who is well travelled and knows this world.
Yep.
If you'd had it all from her point of view,
it would have flowed better.
It would have flowed better, or maybe like the occasional Elagast chapter because he has like a bit of a separate story from the others.
Yeah, just give him like 2 chapters of him at the beginning and at the end. That's all I want from him.
And like, I guess you could like sprinkle in like the occasional Inara or Skedi chapter because there are moments like Skedi taking over Inara.
All I want is the Skedi chapters. That's all I want. Skedi chapters for the best.
If you had it majority Kissin, it might have worked
it would have been
better. I think that was the issue, was the narration was just inconsistent.
Yeah, 100%. It didn't.
And that's just something that you get better at the more you write, I guess, isn't it? So.
Yeah. But it just... there was just something off about the characters that they didn't translate well into the chapters, and no fault of their own, but it didn't feel right. I think it would have been better if it was just omnipotent narration. Like,
if it was just no point of view, just purely third person.
Because then you can slot in people's thoughts, and it can be whoever's chapter it is. It doesn't matter because it's always going to be omnipotent.
Yeah.
I thought that would be better.
It just felt like the author kept flip-flopping between trying to be omnipotent and trying to be a specific character's voice. Yeah. When it doesn't work.
Yeah. Well, that, I think, smoothly pushes on to plot.
Yes. which was my other lowest scorer.
Same.
Also on a 6.
Also on a 5.
This I guess doesn't surprise us. Again, I really liked the concept of this book, right? You read the blurb, it's about this woman who goes around killing gods, and then she has to help this god try and separate himself from this kid. It's interesting. It's like, it piques your interest, but...
Nothing happens.
Nothing happens.
Nothing
to the point
happens.
where I regularly forgot what they were doing.
You know what they went... Because they, early on, they all get together and they go on a caravan and they travel. Nothing happens for about 150 pages. And it's just like, why are you even here? There was characters from the caravan that show up later, and I forgot they existed.
Yep.
Like, I thought you died.
It was weird.
It was weird. I did like the king and the kind of, like, you know, he was evil. Woo!
Yeah, so that's like sort of the like the secret plot reveal right at the end is that the king is secretly conspiring with the fire deity that Kissin escaped from as a child.
Which you would never have guessed. But it was kind of
and
obvious.
It's just like, yeah, it didn't feel like an earned plot twist.
Yeah.
It just sort of happened and I was like, okay. And...
Yeah, cool.
which should never be your reader's response to your plot twist. They should never go,
Okay, what else? Where's the other one? Where's the other plot twist?
The phrase that I've written in my notes is, I kept forgetting the point of it all. And I know that that's in reference to the plot, but just reading this book, it feels appropriate to just be like, I kept forgetting why.
Yeah, why are we here?
Yeah, and again, much like with the other book, I read it in quite a short space of time, I think. So it's not like I was, like, spacing it out over a bunch of time. It was, like, a matter of days, I believe.
Same. I read this in 3 days, I think.
So it's just like, I shouldn't be partway through the book and be like, wait, what's happening?
Yeah.
Where are they going? Why are they going there?
We shouldn't be confused.
Oh, no, yeah, I started it... Yeah, I read it over the course of 2 days, yeah.
Yeah. I was waiting for more. I feel there should have been another plot twist in the middle of the book, which would have been great.
Yeah.
Which I think they tried to do with Skedi taking over Inara's body. That was fun, but it wasn't a plot twist.
Yeah.
Like, we knew that was coming.
It felt like something that was bound to happen.
Yeah, because
there was always going to be like a Skedi betrayal that was then just fine.
Yeah. Because, like, it didn't have consequences. So...
yeah.
Because, like, it caused Kissin and Elogast to duel. I don't care. Kill each other. Do it.
Yeah, they were fighting, and I was like, who am I supposed to be? Like, am I supposed to be rooting for one of them? Am I supposed to not want them to fight? I don't care.
I don't care. I'm just excited to see which one gets stabbed first.
I did think that this was a perfect example, though, of how bland of a character Elogast was. That he immediately just believes what Skedi, having taken over Inara, is saying. He's just like, yeah, okay, Kissin's evil, fine, I'll kill her then. And I'm just like,
just as
that
he's like...
feels weird.
A chapter ago, he's just like, said like, oh, you're a Godkiller, that's so cool. That you helped fight in the war, and shit like that, but like,
and also like
they bonded over that because they both
part of his character is supposed to be that he's like a knight and has the sense of honor.
Yeah,
but then he's apparently just fine with just like fighting,
killing Kissin. Like,
because Inara's like, oh, I don't want to travel with her anymore, and he's like, okay, I will fight her then. It just felt weird.
Yeah, it was strange. I didn't like it.
Yeah,
and then I felt the ending was too rushed. To be honest with you, I finished this book, 3 weeks ago or something? I don't remember how it ended.
It ends in Blenraiden, and there's a fight. And not Inara, Kissin grabs the scary fire goddess and jumps into the sea with her.
Oh, yeah, and everyone thinks she's dead.
Her godly father, who is an ocean god, like
saves her life,
brings her back to life or something. Yeah,
or something like that. I'm just like,
I
I forgot all of that.
Had the book been like 100 pages longer,
Uh-huh.
then maybe the ending could have had a bit more like work.
Because like there was this whole thing about her having this magical promise to the water god, and because he saved her life when she was getting sacrificed by her village.
Yeah, because like when she's getting sacrificed, yeah,
she didn't seem to care about any of that.
Yeah, because so she's like his kid with a mortal. And then when her family is being sacrificed, it's her and her dad escape, and her dad's like, "Well, I'm not gonna live right now, so I'm gonna yeet you into the ocean and
chop off your leg,
make your ocean daddy like
your ocean
promise to save your life, and in return I'll jump into the ocean myself and like sacrifice myself to the ocean as like payment for this promise." And then right at the end of the book, the ocean daddy is like, "Hey, you want me to save you?" And she's like, "No." And then she's like, "Oh, but actually yes."
No, but yes, because I'm so complicated of a character. Oh my god.
Yeah, she's like, "No, I'll just die. It's fine. Just let me die."
Just let me die. Just let me
And then
go.
she thinks of Inara, and she's like, "Actually, no, wait. Bring me
think
back."
of this little
Ocean
girl
Daddy.
I've known for a week. I've known for a week and yet suddenly feel this big connection to, like, no.
It was just not good.
It was not good.
And now, of course, book 2 is going to start with Elagast and Inara thinking that she's dead.
The two worst characters together.
Yeah.
Oh, no. But, like, I kind of like that vibe of, like, we think she's dead. Oh my god, she's going to show up heroically. I would like that.
I would like it more if it wasn't for the fact that I know there's going to be some stupid romantic bullshit between Elagast and Kissin when it happens. He's going to be like, "Oh, thank God, you're not dead. Godkiller fuck buddy."
Yeah, so the fated black sex scene, pal.
Yeah.
I'm begging for a chapter from Inara going like, "So you and Kissin, during that one night when we were in Ben Radin, I wasn't asleep." I would love that.
Oh god.
I would love that. Maybe just because I'm a little unhinged, but
yeah.
I would love to just her calling him out, and it'd be so funny to me. But yeah, that's just me.
Okay, shall we move on to intrigue then?
Yeah, this is also my lowest rating, conjoined.
See, that's interesting because intrigue is tied with atmosphere for me as highest.
Really?
Yeah, because I thought it was really interesting. The vibe, like the plot hooked me, but then it just like it tails off.
Yeah.
Right? But to me, I put the negative of it tailing off under plot, not under intrigue.
Oh, fair enough.
Because like it did intrigue me. Like I read the plot and I was like, "Oh, this sounds cool." And then I started reading the book and I was like, "Hey, this is kind of cool." And the only thing that kept me going really was the fact that the world was cool.
Yeah, the world is cool.
That intrigued me enough.
I would like to live there. I would like to mess with the gods. I would like to be part of like one of their little cults.
I have like a soft spot for gods that work like that, where they're like actual entities.
Yeah.
And are quite often like sort of created by humans as they start to like do certain things.
Yeah, that was cool.
I love that vibe. I
thought that was a really cool idea.
Yeah.
So what did you say you rated it? Sorry.
A 9.
A 9. God damn it! It's because I rated it 5.
We've been so close together the whole time.
It's really because I got so bored after 50 pages that I was like, "Oh god, not again."
There's not really a good way to describe this over audio, but like I feel like this book like ramps up a lot early on, like in terms of interest. I'm like, oh, this is great, and then it just like from it peaks in like 50 pages. And
it's like a roller coaster going down.
It just goes down from there.
Yeah. Yeah, because I did this thing where I put post-it notes after a certain amount of pages so I can get it done in like a time scale. So I was just reading to that. Is that why I did this? Why I did it over like 3 days? Because I just got so bored after 50 pages. Like it was fun, but like I wasn't like I didn't care enough to like to get it done faster. I wouldn't have sat down and read it in one. I was just like,
Yeah.
I kind of felt like I had to kind of chug my way through it a bit.
Yeah.
But it's still a good book. This is not me saying it's a
It
horrendous
is.
book.
That's
it's
the
a good
weird
book.
thing. Is I feel like we've been like shitting on it for the past 40 minutes. But
but it is good.
it is kind of a good book. It's just
It is kind of a good book.
I just wanted it to be better than it is.
Because like I was intrigued about Skedi. If you haven't guessed. That I really liked him.
Yeah. Because that's the other thing, right? It's like there's this whole plot line where Kissen's friend tells her that like the way to separate Skedi and Inara is to find a more powerful god and have that god like let Skedi like share in their power.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're like, we'll go to Blenraid and then there'll be a powerful god there who'll let them do it. And then that
I
just
forgot
like
the name
they try one god, the god's like, nah. And then
they give up.
And then that's it. And now they have to flee because they have
to
been
leave
fighting the fire god.
Yeah. No, but like, I'll just say this one thing. That god that they go to, all I was imagining is... Have you played Legend of Zelda? You've played that, right? You know the fairies that come out of the big ponds?
Yeah.
That's how I was seeing them.
Yeah. Me too. That is exactly
like,
how I pictured that water god whose name I can't remember.
Yeah. I was just like, imagining, like, I was like, oh... Like the Ponyo's mother from that Studio Ghibli movie.
I've not watched that one, but
God damn it, no. It's so good, you need to watch it.
I'm like gradually working my way through Studio Ghibli.
I think Tom Holland's
having never watched any of them when I was a child.
I think Tom Holland might be in that one.
Oh.
But
I can't see him, so it doesn't fucking matter, does it?
But you can listen to him.
Anyway, back to the book.
Yeah. You can listen to your man.
Don't distract me with Tom Holland.
I'm sorry. Oh, composure. Okay. But yeah, I just kept just seeing them as like Legends of Zelda characters, which I like the vibe of, but it's just
yeah.
It's just annoying how they just gave up after this one god. Like, come on, there's other.
To be fair,
gods.
I guess they gave up because like they have to fight a fire god.
Yeah.
And then they have to flee.
Enough.
But like it just felt weirdly like everyone's like, oh well, we just don't care about this anymore. It was just
and they're just going.
It's
like, oh well, Inara sucks to suck. Let's go.
Oh no, Kissen's dead. Whatevs. Bye.
Oh no. Oh no. I think that kind of moves us on to logic quite with ease there.
Yeah.
Because I really liked the magic system.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was funky. I liked, we mentioned earlier that you really liked the fact that when people start doing things, gods appear to do these one things.
Yeah.
Like there was like, wasn't there mention of like God of the Harvest that people had to like sacrifice their food to, and the god liked it when they starved and stuff?
Yeah, there's like little bits and pieces like that. It's really interesting. Yeah.
It was really cool. I wanted more in-depth analysis of that. That's all I want to say. Like the little cults that formed around these gods. That's really cool. Like if one totem exists, then there is a god. Which I really like.
So what did you score for logic then?
Oh, I didn't even say my rating. God damn it! No. Sorry. I rated it a 6, which is my second lowest, but I still really liked it.
I gave it an 8. An 8 for logic. Because again, I thought it was good. I thought there was like a reasonable good amount of internal consistency, right? Like, there's this special metal that can damage gods.
I love
and
that.
Like the people that you would expect to have it, right? So like Kissen has some because she's a Godkiller, and Elogast has a sword with it because he fought gods during the war. So it makes sense, right? And it's not something that seems to be like readily available.
Yeah.
But it's like
sucks.
available to the people who need it. But I don't know about you. I felt like there were times where just like new rules around gods sort of cropped up, and they just like sort of appeared throughout the book, and I was like, wait, nobody ever mentioned this before.
Why has no one touched on this? Like,
it just
felt weird.
Yeah. Like
that it should have been explained
for most
near the beginning.
For most of their journey, they're being pursued by these like shadow creatures. And it's like, oh yeah, gods can do that. Gods can summon shadow creatures. It's like, well,
how?
There's no mention of this in any of the like war flashbacks, or you know, it's just like, oh yeah, this can happen sometimes.
And wasn't it like the fire god that was summoning these creatures? Was
I
it
can't
him?
remember.
I can't remember which god it was, because if it was the fire god, how is he doing
No,
shadow creatures?
no, it's like a, was it not like one of the, like a nature god?
Oh
Was it
yeah,
not? Yeah, like somebody curses Elogast because he's a knight, and they're like, "Oh,
yeah,
knights hate the gods." So
yeah,
some
yeah,
like god cult man curses Elogast, and then they get
yeah.
chased by shadows,
Hmm.
and it's just like, yeah, I don't know. It just,
I also I also felt the shadow creatures were kind of a weak threat
yeah,
to me. I
they
was like,
didn't feel massively threatening. Like at one point, Elogast gets like wounded in the arm by one of them, and then that just seems to stop being a problem.
oh no, Elgast. Oh.
But also, like, he gets wounded, and immediately after,
He's
Kissen's like,
fine.
"Oh, are you okay?" Like, you know, and then that's
Flirts.
it. Doesn't get mentioned again,
Yeah.
as far
Like
as I can remember.
yeah, no. He's been injured and then the injury doesn't seem to have any
Yeah,
implications, which
exactly. Which is
really annoyed me.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think that happens again near the end because isn't he injured when they get into Blinradan? Or someone is at least. I feel.
Oh, maybe, yeah,
Yeah. I'm just like, okay.
yeah, yeah,
Fair enough.
yeah. It just there were times where it felt like the author was just like, "Oh, I need this to be able to happen, so I'm just gonna make that always have been a thing,"
Yeah.
and it just
Like
felt a bit like, eh.
let us know from the start your wills and just like
Yeah,
yeah,
and stick
it would
to
have
them.
been yeah, please. Just not add more and more as we go along. And that moves us on to the last thing.
It does
Wow.
indeed. Enjoyment.
Enjoyments.
Here we are already.
I rated it quite high actually. It took me a
What did you?
minute to.
What,
I
what
rated
did you?
it a 7.
So did I. Oh my god.
Oh
I
my
think
gosh!
this is the
This is
first
the
time
first
so
time.
far that we've both rated it the same number. I mean,
This is
we're only on
brilliant.
episode 2, but still.
Still, that counts. There's been a
It
lot of
does.
categories.
Yeah, this is the
So-
10th thing, and
Oh my
we've
God.
no, that's a lie. The 14th thing.
14 thing. 1 out of 14. Let's go.
Woohoo!
But yeah, I like the book.
I
It's
liked
fun.
it. It is fun.
It's a YA fantasy book. It's
I don't know
good.
that I'd even call it YA.
Wouldn't it? I think it's no YA. I don't know. It felt it felt YA to me.
I guess because like Kissen's like 26,
I didn't think about that.
but
And isn't Elgas like
I
40?
will say
Isn't Elgas like 40?
I don't know if his age is mentioned. I can't remember.
He's
I
meant to
will
be
say
old.
though, it doesn't feel like she's 26.
It doesn't.
And in my head, she was like early 20s until she specifically is like, "Oh yeah, I'm 26," and then you're like, "Oh, okay." I don't know that I'd call it YA, but
Yeah.
I agree that it's fun.
It's fun. I like
It is
the vibe.
fun. The concept is great. The characters seem fun and then quickly become boring.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think fun is a good way to describe it.
Fun is a good way to describe it because it's 300 pages that you're not like totally disappointed for. Like, yeah, you
Yeah.
have gripes with it, but like I still liked it. It was still like
The
I got attached to 2 of them. So um
Yeah.
but yeah, I had fun. I think that some of the plot stuff could have been worked on, but I generally it's a pretty decent book.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
That is the thing that I've put down as like the negative under enjoyment is just room to improve.
Yeah. So if like the second book gets announced whenever that's gonna come out and the plot sounds good, I might actually pick it up,
Yeah.
which is kind of rare for me.
I think I like I said earlier, I think I'll mainly pick it up just to
See.
find out if there's stuff in book 2 that I'm like, that should have been in book 1. That should be in book 1.
Well, make the notes about it, like where was
Yeah.
this?
Yeah.
Come on.
Exactly.
Where was Elogast's age reveal? I mean, come on. Because he just felt like such an old man.
I really
mind.
liked him at the start, right? When he was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I'm a baker and I'm a retired knight and I have I'm retired because
A Legends in
I didn't agree with what the king was doing, and then I was like, I'm gonna go be
Yeah.
a baker." That I was like, I am in. I
Yeah.
like this character, and then I was like, oh no, wait, he's boring.
He's so
He's
dull.
so dull.
I want I want a novella like Legends and Lattes kind of vibe, and of just him and his bakery.
Yeah,
you know?
I just
It'd be so cute.
or not him, but if somebody else
Someone else.
write a cozy Travis Baldry. Mr. Travis Baldry, I am asking you here and now. Once Bookshops and Bone Dust comes out, please write a third book, and it's just a knight who becomes a baker and he's gay. That's all I ask.
Yeah.
If you do that, I will sell you my soul. Whether you want it or not.
Travis Baldry already has it. Yeah. Because the night thing and bakery was so good, but no, come on, give me more bakery and fun vibes.
Yeah.
Because Travis Baldry already has our souls. Please, we signed that when we started fucking reading the Legends and Lattes.
This is true.
In one day.
I bought it at work at the bookshop and then went home and read it in the space of 2 hours. Because I remember messaging the group chat being like, guys, I finished it. It was great. I loved it.
Our friend Danny was so shocked.
They were just like, wait, you finished it already?
How did you do this? What kind of magic is this?
I absorbed it.
Because I'd read the arc a couple months before you.
Yeah.
And I was like, I need to talk to you about this, but you haven't read it. Please read the book, please.
Anyway,
But anyway, is there any books that you would recommend people read? I feel like this.
If you like the dark fantasy vibe and the sort of cursey shit in this, I would recommend Unraveler by Frances Harding. And that's Harding with an E on the end.
Ooh.
I don't know if it's Harding or Hardinge, but I'm assuming Harding, because Hardinge sounds horrible. Unraveler by Frances Harding is a book about this guy who is gifted with the ability to unravel curses that people have put on each other. So it's set in this world where there's these little spider creatures, and you can use one of the little spider creatures to curse somebody else, and the main character is capable of undoing these curses, and it's really cool. It's great, dark fantasy. It is YA. I would recommend that one. And also, if you like the badass lady vibe of kissing, I would recommend Gearbreakers by Zoe Hana Makuta, which it's not fantasy. It is sci-fi dystopia, cyberpunk.
Hell yeah!
It's about these two girls, one of whom is a pilot of these giant mecha suits, and the other one is a gearbreaker, who is somebody who is part of a rebellion against the government, and who specializes in getting inside these mecha suits and destroying them. And the pilot secretly hates the government, and is trying to destroy them from the inside, and then they meet and they fall in love, and it's incredible. And they are also both super badass ladies, and there is also there's good vibes of struggling with your body. It's cool.
Hell yeah! Oh, I love that.
Those are my recs.
Heck yeah! I'll start my recs off with if you like the fantasy vibe, if you want to go a bit darker, if you want to go a little bit more high fantasy vibe, I would recommend The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. R.F. Kuang has my whole soul, so I love her so much. The Poppy War is inspired by, I want to say China. And it's basically a war that takes place within China. It's got a lot to do with old gods. The main character gets entangled with the gods, the fire god, actually. Kind of perfect, considering the book we're reading. They have fire powers in it. It's fantastic. They also have two potential, people have said they have the main character's two potential male love interests. I disagree, because they don't get in a relationship once, and I love it. It's great, because she's just such a badass character. She doesn't care about how she is perceived. She is loudmouth. She doesn't care about people's opinion of her. She's just badass. And there is disabled representation in the third book, and it's fun. It's such a good series. The second book I will also recommend a sci-fi, which is Skyward by Brandon Sanderson.
Of course.
Yes, I got him in there. Okay, I will understand people's gripes with them because, but I'm obsessed with Brandon Sanderson. Okay,
I, on the flip side,
author.
Have never read a Brandon Sanderson book.
I tried to make you read one for book club, but fair enough.
Yeah.
The new one's not great. I didn't really like it.
Oh no. Anyway.
I know, but Skyward by Brandon Sanderson follows a young girl who goes to basically she's on a planet alone. Well, not she's on a planet and is getting hunted down by a species called Krell. I think they are. Is it Krell? Something like that. That come down from above and fight everyone on the surface of this planet, trying to basically murder and destroy them. So basically, she wants to become a pilot, but her dad was a pilot as well. But he ran away from battle and was shot down by his comrades and was labelled a coward. And there's a whole system around being a coward in this world. And basically, if you're in a family member of a coward, then you're basically shunned from society. You lose all your rights and you lose all your money, and you basically have to. You're like the lowest of the low. And it's her struggle to get into this flight academy, and basically she has special abilities that are mentioned later on, and I think she's kick-ass. She really is. She's a very, very kissing character.
Great.
So
okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's us for this episode. So
yeah.
Thank you for joining us at the tavern for Book Club Part 2.
Yes.
Eve, tell me, where can our dear listeners find you on the internet?
On the internet? Wow.
Yes.
You can you can find me at ERHandyside on Instagram, as well as phantom.frog on TikTok. Where can we find you, Phoenix?
Well, for, I guess if you want me just randomly talking about random shit, you can follow me on my personal Twitter, which is at beansandfungi. Or if you prefer me talking about books, then I have a book review blog called The Firebird's Bookshelf, which you can find at thefirebirdsbookshelf.com. And also on Twitter at firebirdsbooks, and on Instagram at the Firebirds Bookshelf. So, where can they follow the podcast?
You can make sure and follow us on Instagram, Hearth and Tome Pod, and on Twitter, Hearth and Tome. Yeah, so you can check us out and see what we're up to and our behind the scenes and shenanigans generally. And our book club pick for next month, which we should say, is...
It's Crier's War!
Crier's War!
By Nina Varela.
I've started it already.
Woohoo! I have also started it already.
I have thoughts and opinions already.
I like how, not to spoil too much for the listeners out there, but we're talking next month, even though it is still April.
Yeah.
We finished Godkiller real early.
Really, really early. Oh, but yeah. And we're almost finished Crier's War. God damn.
I am nowhere near finished Crier's War, so that's fine.
I'm like 50 pages from the end.
Yeah, also just to throw it in there, we also now have a link tree, which is linktree/Hearth and Tome Pod. You'll find it in the bios of Twitter and Instagram, and that's got links to where you can find the podcast. So if you're listening on a platform that you don't like for some reason, then have a look, because it might be on your favorite platform and you just haven't found it yet. I guess that's us. So we hope to see you in the future here at the Hearth and Tome Tavern for book club in June. We'll see you in a month.
We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye. Music used within this episode was Midnight Tale by Kevin MacLeod through incompetech.com. Licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 4.0 license.